Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to tell you all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Get early access to all of our interviews, including the monthly Chichester chats with writer and comic book legend DG Chichester, new episodes of classic Capes and Lunatics shows, including The Quantum Zone, This, That, or the Third, and many, many more specials, all completely uncensored. Access starts for $3 a month, full video when you pledge $5 a month. Check out the link in our show notes or go to patreon.com/capesandlunatics. Hope to see you there. Look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's an electric mullet. Hello, kids, and welcome back to another episode of Electric Mullet, a Superman podcast.
Yeah.
And I am Phil. Joining me, as always, a host of many Superman podcasts. It is.
It's Tyler Patrick, host with the most. I don't know. Got my iPad charged up here.
Oh my god! You know what you should do? You should rename Krypton Report. It should be like Krypton Report: My Adventures with Superman.
Yeah, for real, pretty much is. I don't know about you, but man, if I had like issues with like accessing the like reading comics on the website compared to using the app.
Oh, okay. On the website.
Yeah, like sometimes I'll pull them up on the website, and I'll like when James and I have been recording and stuff, and like I'll be moving through it, then I'll be like, it'll reboot. So like today, I made sure I had my, what do you call it? I had my stuff. So.
Yeah, I mean, even the app sometimes is a little wonky, but all right. So today we're going to be covering Swamp Thing 79 and Superman Annual 2, which I guess we could do either in any order. So I don't know which one to do first.
Yeah, I have Superman pulled up because it was the second one I read. So.
Okay, yeah, first.
I was like, yeah, okay.
All right. Well, this one doesn't have that long of a synopsis, so we'll kind of have to walk through the issue here. But all right. So yes, like I said, we'll start. So all right, Superman Volume 2, Annual 2. The Cadmus Project. Well, that's the first story. From August 1988. Writer Roger Stern, penciler Ron Friends, inker Brett Breeding, colors Petra Skodish, letterer John Costanza, and editors Renee Winterstatter and Mike Carlin. Superman learns about a top secret cloning project known as Project Cadmus. There's your synopsis, kids. Good night. So for those of you who don't know, yes, this was the first post-crisis appearance of the Cadmus Project and Guardian and the Newsboy Legion. So
it was weird, like how they did the Newsboys Legion.
Yeah, like I haven't read really haven't read the old Jimmy Olsen stuff where like that first like Kirby did all that stuff. But yeah, I don't know if that's just to be like, oh, these kids were around, back in the day, so now we want a modern version. We want them still to be kids. So let's say, let's make them clones.
Yeah, it was weird.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was trying to figure out like how they were doing this. Like they're clones, but then they're grown-ups who are scientists.
Yep.
But I feel like this, I mean, this story, like it's really packed with a lot of stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you have this whole early tab going on, and then before the Newsboys Legion is around, and I don't know, it was interesting.
Yeah, because I mean, I would assume Roger Stern's a fan of the Kirby stuff. Like, I know Kirby is. When I spoke to Ron Friends, Kirby was one of his influences, like on his art and everything. So,
Yeah, I mean, we're at page 15, when you get this big kind of twist
mhm.
about, like, you have some dialogue about them walking around talking and stuff about things being different or looks, and but you don't really know till they visit the one guy who's a barber, and he pulls a picture and it shows them, and he like says that was in 1943,
Mhm.
and then you're kind of like, okay, like, and then Guardian, like, I hadn't, like, I'm reading along with you here, so like Guardian comes, I'm like, okay, but I had no idea more about the what Guardian's past was in this.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because he's also another clone, which I assume that's because I don't know if he was supposed to be like a homage to Captain America. So they're just like, oh yeah, he was around in the '40s. So how's he still running around now? So.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah. And again, I mean, the Guardians, Cadmus, the Newsboys, they're going to be around for a while, which I was surprised. I'm like, wow, we like premiered all these big characters on an annual. Like, you don't do that, you don't do that a lot.
You never do that.
Mm-mm. Annuals are
So
usually
I
just
just
like ones and dones. Yeah.
annuals are supposed to be like these, I don't know, for a lot of, like, not outlier stories, but kind of they tell you alternate stories of stuff.
Or
So
just like, here's a story that's not going to affect anything. Yeah.
yeah. So the fact that they're doing so much in this book throws
Mm.
me.
Oh yeah, yeah, because yeah, that's why they did the whole clone thing. Because yeah, the Newsboy Legion first appeared in Star Spangled Comics #7, April 1942. So that's how they want them to have that old timey kind of thing to them, but have them be in modern day.
Yeah. It was I mean, I like the Guardian stuff, and like I feel like, okay, we're getting this story. And here we are on page 20 when Superman and the Guardian are talking. And then, I'm walking through, then all of a sudden Superman gets attacked by the Guardian. And I'm just like, wait a minute, what is going on? And it's really interesting how Guardian is strong and quick and everything that he is, and how he slips out of the metal. And I'm still trying to figure out, who these Newsboy Legion people are. And then this, it goes in some weird directions. That's all I'm going to say. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to figure out, like, this flying car looking thing appears on page 25. And then by page 28, there's this green train. And then we get this new character who's telling us a story. And that's when we go into like the real Cadmus project. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, how long is this? And where does it keep going? And then lo and behold, one of our forgotten favorite characters appears, Phil.
Oh yeah, Sleaze. Yes, yes, yes. Our favorite pornographer, suicide slum pornographer, Sleaze. Yes.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, he's back. Okay. Good job, Sleaze.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if he comes back up. Well, maybe somewhere, but I think it may be a while. But yeah, I mean, he's pretty much trying to take over Cadmus here, and again, it's kind of hard, I guess, because like these were like pre-existing characters, like pre-crisis, but now they're trying to like reintroduce them.
Yeah. Um, it it's, I don't know, it feels very, it's like the thing we've talked about with, like, we have pre-crisis characters and then they get shoved back into continuity, and it's like, dude, they're not organic. They're just like, oh, we'll just give them here.
Yeah, like I said, I think people in some of this creative team were big fans of Jack Kirby. So, and again, Ron Friends is also a great move then to do that because his style is kind of Kirby-ish, especially in this issue.
So it's one of those, like, I appreciate it,
Hmm.
and I like it. But like this story, I don't know. You could have done this, I think, the same story and got more out of it if you hadn't done the Newsboys Legion League here and just done like the Cadmus project and made it about Guardian.
Mm.
And then,
Yeah.
we find Sleaze. I mean, this story is a good, 40 pages? That's
Oh yeah.
3 issues. That's 3 issues almost of modern comics.
I know. I mean, and then we get that backup story.
Yeah, I'll say we're not even there yet, but
I know. But yeah, I know. Because because sometimes like even like in the 90s, like you would get like annuals where you just get like a almost like a regular size main story, then a bunch of backups. Yeah, no, like you said, this is a pretty long story, and then you just have like a little backup at the end.
I was just making sure I didn't miss something. Like
Maybe that's why they did this in the annual because they had more page count.
maybe.
Jam all this story in here. Yeah. And again, it's crazy because it's almost like a pre-crisis story, but yeah. And again, literally, I mean, I love Guardian, but he basically is a Captain America ripoff because I was even looking up his thing, indestructible shield, enhance the peak human performance. I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing, Jack.
Yeah. Doesn't it go back to where like certain comics creators have like ideas and like, you know what? I'm just gonna use the same idea and retweak it for Marvel. I'm just gonna use the same idea and tweak it for
They always
DC.
do it. They always do it. They still do. I mean,
So
Kirby did it to himself. Who came first, New Gods or Eternals? But those was both Jack Kirby. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. You just come up with one idea, you sell it to both companies, or and just keep going. They're like, hey Phil, that was a great concept. Yeah, here it is again.
no, change some names around. Oh yeah, Guardian's first appearance, Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen, 135 from January 1971. So yeah,
Interesting.
because that's the thing. Yeah, like Kirby was like doing all these like way out there ideas for like Cadmus and everything in the pages of Jimmy Olsen. Who would expect? That's something you could have plugged right into a main Superman book.
Yeah, that's why he did it. Jimmy Olsen. They're like, this book needs to sell. Jack, what you got?
I mean, think about that. Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen, issue 135.
Honest, man, they just
These days, a main character can't get a 135. You're giving Jimmy Olsen 135 issues.
you know what? Like, I just kind of wish that they'd stop renumbering comics.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
I hate it was like, oh, this is Superman volume 5, number 5, like
Yeah.
can we just keep a title going?
They think they're going to bring in new readers with that, but it's like, no, you're just confusing people. Because like I was telling Lothal one day, I said I have a friend at work. He was talking about getting into some Marvel stuff, and he's like, I'd love to get into Ghost Rider. He's like, but I don't know where to start because it's like issue 1. Which issue 1?
Yeah. And I mean, that's why for some characters, I really appreciate the way they do things. So I don't know. I'm just saying it's.
And I mean, if you wanted to do that for like the trades, it's like, yeah, maybe like volume 1 of this writer's arc on Superman, and then, volume 2 of his arc on Superman. It's like, but yeah, just leave the floppies alone.
I just think there's a way around it, but
Yeah. Well, now sometimes they try to like do. Sometimes on some books they'll do legacy numbering. Well, they have both numbers, and it's just like, okay.
So, but yeah, this one, and then the backup was interesting.
Oh yeah, loves labor. Dan Turpin is in love with Maggie Sawyer, so he proposes to her only to learn a secret about her and Toby. which we still won't come out and tell you what it is.
Well, I mean, she calls her babe, and Maggie's on the sunbathing,
Yeah,
on the roof,
and
topless.
well, of course, because writer, penciler, and inker John Byrne.
Yeah, and yeah,
But I mean, again, I guess Turpin may be an old-fashioned guy, but it's like you're gonna ask out this woman who you've never got. You're gonna propose this woman you never asked out on a date before.
but my thing is, they make Maggie look so like her hair is like gray and long, like
Yeah, it's like gray. It's like
it's really weird. So I don't know, man. Like it's one of those, like, when I just flipped it over and I was looking at it real quick, I didn't realize it was Maggie Sawyer at first.
Yeah.
It took me
Yeah.
It took me a little bit because yeah.
What's like you point out with, like, a lot of times in this era, Lois doesn't have like a consistent look. So
Yeah, it's weird. It when you're dealing with this, and every artist has a slight different take on the characters, we need something that's going to help us. And having consistency and style, hair color, really does help. So I'm just throwing that out there. That's all I'm saying, people.
Oh, and I love the whole what is it, Turpin's daughter? It's like, oh, not only is she your boss, she's 15 years younger than you.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. But that's
but yeah, nothing says cop at a crime scene like high heel boots. Oh, burn.
But I don't know. I didn't like this. I mean, I didn't hate it, but I didn't get into this one as much.
Yeah. What, the whole issue, or just that story?
The whole, like, the front story, like, I felt like it was a lot. So,
well, again, too, I feel like, yeah, they were trying to cram in all this pre-existing stuff that had happened pre-crisis, and so I assume that's why they used the annual. And again, it's like probably could have not even gone without that backup and given it even more pages, but
yeah, I don't. The backup was interesting, just trying to develop. I appreciate when they do good stories building out the world. Like, I made the joke, I think the only people that were really missing from being cast in Superman 2025 is like Dan Turpin, Maggie Sawyer, and Bibbo. Like, I feel like that's
I don't know.
That's the ones we're still waiting to hear about. But
maybe might not have the full cast list yet.
I'm just saying, like, because we're doing a good job of building out Metropolis, which is nice.
And even like beyond, because like again, they finally seems like they've given the official go for that Green Lantern TV series.
Yeah,
and then they're like, oh yeah, Guy Gardner's going to make an appearance, after appearing in the Superman movie and stuff. So
he should. I mean, but I like seeing the world built out. You know what I'm saying? That is my biggest thing is in these books. I don't mind a good backup that deals with like Maggie and Dan or even Bibbo, because you're building out the world in which our characters live in. And I feel like that's what's kind of been missing.
That's what's missing from a lot of modern comics, I think, is like the big supporting cast.
Like, spoilers, I don't know when this is going to air, but did you watch this week's episode of My Adventures with Superman?
No, you know what? I'm like a week or two behind.
Okay. Well, all I'm going to say is, like, the way that this last episode, which is episode 7, the way it plays out, I was not upset with it because I enjoy the characters, the world in which all these characters reside. So the fact that it was done the way it was done, I was okay. Like I wasn't having problems, and that's I think how a good story should be. Is if I can enjoy characters beyond just the main two,
Yes.
or main one, then you've really gotten something special. So
Yeah. That's why I said I wish they would do more like that with more supporting cast.
but all right, I don't have a whole lot to say with this one because I feel like it's just such a hey, here's this, and then like I said, Sleaze comes back in an annual
Mhm.
because they were like, we gotta bury this character because
Yeah, I mean, I liked it again, but it's a big. Oh, all these characters are in continuity again, so stay tuned. You're gonna see them all appearing here soon. Because it's gonna be Guardian who cracks the big who's the new gangbuster thing.
yeah, who is the new gangbuster? We'll find out.
All right.
This next issue was a surprise
Oh yeah. I saw this on the list and I hadn't read this before, so yeah, this was a surprise to me too.
because I was like, I looked at it and I said to myself, I was like, did Phil put the right one in there? Like, was that for us or is that a different podcast?
Nope.
And lo and behold, it was for us.
So is this a Superman appearance you had not read before?
Yes.
Nice. I mean, again, me neither. So, all right, so yes, kids. Yes, tonight we're going to talk Swamp Thing 79 from December 1988. Waiting for God. Oh, writer Rick Veit and penciler Alfredo Alcala, inker, colorist Tatiana Wood, letterer John Costanza again, and editors Karen Berger and Art Young. Using his abilities to enter the fiber optic network of a DDI data bank, Swamp Thing manages to find all the information he can about his past collected by the Sunderland Corporation, information about the men involved with his attempted murder in Gotham City, and eventually the identity of the man who gave them the technology to do it. Here we go. Lex Luthor.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yes. Meanwhile, though the DDI's suspected connections to political scandals have made its situation untenable, when the data is erased, even as Swamp Thing is still in the network. He decides he must go to Metropolis to deal with Luthor, whether he has to face Superman in the process or not. At the Daily Planet, many media journalists gather together on the roof for the first official press conference with Superman, Clark Kent, and Lois Lane. For first official press conference with Superman, Clark Kent and Lois Lane chat about Superman's personality, but Clark is distracted by overhearing the voice of Liz Tremaine near Panic. She and her boyfriend Chester Williams have been given press passes to attend the conference despite her deeply ingrained paranoia. Clark tries to sneak off by feigning an asthma problem. Lois attempts to keep him there, but she's interrupted by Dr. Roger Huntoon, who demands to know why his quotes went unprinted in a recent story of hers. With Lois distracted, Clark happens to notice the Swamp Thing trying to break into the LexCorp building using his telescopic vision. Leaping off the side of the building unnoticed, he changes into his Superman uniform in midair and captures the Swamp Thing. But he hears that Lois's argument with Huntoon is winding down and has to return to the roof. Again, he notices the Swamp Thing on the LexCorp building and batters it away with his super breath before it can enter the building. Here we go. After
this is not a synopsis. This is just the whole story.
I know, and I'm getting Christopher Reeve vibes here. Yeah, he just leaps off the building, changes. He's like, "Oh, gotta get back." After presumably having sex with her, Lex Luthor demands a security report from Miss Rhodes as she dresses herself. She informs him that something tried twice in the last hour to penetrate the building security, and Superman had investigated both, but seems not to have come up with anything. Annoyed by certain word choices she used, Lex demands that she start her report over again, first by removing her clothes. Who wrote this, Byrne? Again, this was supposed to be more a mature book, but yeah. When Lois is again distracted, this time by WGBS reporter Misty Brink, Clark quickly disappears from the roof and flies over to the LexCorp building where he snatches Swamp Thing out of the air. Even so, Swamp Thing escapes his grasp and then searches LexCorp for any way in. Unfortunately, the building's security system trap him. Miss Rhodes cries as Luthor explains that her position is actually redundant because his security system is automatic. The security system has already identified the intruder as an electromagnetic bioforce, and he has merely been using Miss Rhodes for sex. As he gloats, Miss Rhodes grabs a chair from behind and attempts to bash him over the head with it, but instead smashes the control system for his security. Released, Swamp Thing climbs high above the city, observing the foolish acts of man. Meanwhile, Superman heads toward Earth's yellow sun in order to absorb the full power of its solar rays. Suddenly, the Swamp Thing finds himself trapped in stasis by Superman's X-ray vision. In order to escape it, Swamp Thing converts his essence to light and travels into Superman's eyes, temporarily blinding him. Superman crash lands in the Metropolis Park, at which point the Swamp Thing exits his body and takes normal form. They decide finally to talk. Swamp Thing explains that Luthor is an accessory to his attempted murder and that he saw evidence of this. Unfortunately, Superman will not accept this evidence since it was destroyed and defends the laws and rights of men. Swamp Thing demands to know why, of all the species on Earth, Superman serves only the rights of humans. Thinking about this, Superman listens in on the conversations of those on the Daily Planet's roof, hearing the disrespectful and unappreciative comments of the reporters there. Despite this, Superman responds that the reason he is the way he is with humans is because ultimately he loves them. Swamp Thing recognizes that Superman is a virtuous person and will not stand in the way of such a lofty ideal as love. He trusts that Superman will bring Luthor to justice. Finally, Superman arrives at his press conference to the praise and adulation of all those in attendance. All right, thoughts?
I mean, you pretty much summed it up.
I know. Well, that's like when I was looking at this issue. I'm like, should I add this to our reading list? And then I'm like, it seems like there's more Superman and Swamp Thing in this. I'm like, I guess we got it.
I was a little like, I'm like, oh, I'm reading a Swamp Thing book, cool. And then as I'm going through it, I'm like, where's Swamp Thing? And I'm like, he's coming. And then, but one thing I do want to say I like about this book, first of all, it was a good story. I like the look of Clark.
Mm-hmm.
I like that Lois looks like Lois.
Yes.
There's a lot of story. I like how Clark uses his power suddenly, and but Lex, dear God, like I was reading this, and when like I'm like, who is he with? And then he's like asking for her security report, and I'm like, why is she just wearing an unbuttoned shirt? And then it's like him talking, and he says, restart your report over again, and then you flip it, and it's Clark doing the shirt rip, but it says remove your clothes. I'm like, this Lex is back to being just evil. And then basically, her breakdown about this job and what she's for, and I'm just kind of like, I'm just like, dang, like this is that old, like just fat, robust, yuck Lex.
Well, yeah, at the end, it's like that. Remember, there was that backup story. Wait, was it like issue 9 or something, where he tries to seduce that waitress and stuff?
Yep.
Yeah, this Lex, yeah. That's what I
So,
said. I joked, but I'm like, this could have been Burns Lex, yeah.
And I mean, he is just downright mean, and like he calls her a slut and everything, and basically tells her why the only reason you have this job is for this. And I'm like, was this the first time this has happened? Did she realize, like how long did it take her to figure out that this is all Lex was going for?
Yeah, and I'm just like, wait a minute. So are they in his bedroom, or does he just have a bed sitting in the middle of the office?
I think he just has a bed, and
Probably
his office is his home.
I think there's a hot tub there in there. Not one panel almost looks like a hot tub's in there. So I was just like, wow.
But yeah.
But yeah, like I said, there's a lot more Superman, I swear, than Swamp Thing in this issue. So
There
it's like,
is one thing most of the time is just a presence. And I like when they finally start talking. And what I find interesting is the page, and I think it's page 21. Let me just double check here. Is when you have actual Swamp Thing talking to Superman.
mm-hmm.
And he says about what should be with Luthor. Hold on, I'm trying to find the exact quote because I want to make sure. What's your beef with Luthor? He says, and your proof of this, if the files no longer exist when you have nothing, juries require real evidence for a conviction, not hearsay. Besides, I'm not even sure against the laws to try to kill a plant. So, this whole conversation here is Clark, talking to like Swamp Thing, like, oh, you're a plant. Why, do laws apply to you? But at the same time, I'm kind of like, Superman, you're an alien.
Yeah.
You even claim that you're from Krypton. Do laws even apply to you? You're talking as if Swamp Thing is really, you look at yourself like a human, but you're different from humans, and Swamp Thing's different from you. So the rules in which you're justifying here with him, do they apply to you as well?
Well, that's it. I don't think Clark's saying, oh, you don't have any rights. I think it's more like, yeah, even if we do bring him in for the attempt on you, I don't know if the laws covers that.
It's just sometimes some of the writers write him with this very authoritative, tone. And in reading these books, I definitely hear Bo Black's voice from the Ruby Spears cartoons. But yeah, just sometimes the way they and in like the last book too, just the way he talks is like, he's very in control. So.
I swear I see like shades of Christopher Reeve. Like I said, just jumping off the building and stuff. But even just like the art, I swear he almost looks like a bulkier Chris Reeve.
I agree with that.
And again, this is 88, so this is what, a year after Quest for Peace. So
good old Quest for Peace.
Well, which is better, 3 or 4? Come on.
4.
Well, yeah.
But
it's not what Charlie said.
I know.
3 was the best.
What do you call it? Though, what do you call it? 3 just feels like 2 movies smashed together. So there's a good movie in there somewhere.
Yeah, like some of the when his good half and his evil half are fighting. I love that part.
I like the Smallville stuff with Lana and like him, doing a lot of stuff. But just take out Richard Pryor.
Yeah, again, it's just like they kind of shoehorn Richard Pryor in because he was the big thing at the time.
Yep. That's my comments.
And that's scary. And that scary robot lady.
That scarred us all as children. It really was the freakiest thing.
I love we had to come up with a new evil millionaire because I guess Lex was busy that movie.
Yeah, and like, we had to come up with a new one. We couldn't pull from comics. So like, oh, it can't be Maxwell Lord. It can't be,
But it's like, why don't we step outside the box and maybe do a Brainiac or something?
Yeah,
Lex has been in every movie since. It's like, wow.
We've been begging for Brainiac in live action for quite a while. Look, I don't mind Lex being around. I always like Lex as being like this villain who everyone thinks is not a villain, but Superman knows the truth, that keeps getting away with stuff, and he's causing problems for our hero, and he's setting the things in motion. But we haven't had on film yet, like on film, like movie. Like it's so hard sometimes in my brain to distinguish what's been on the movies and what's been in TV. Like we haven't really had this business suave, everybody loves Lex Luthor person. And then, we all know he's not. But yeah, but I like this issue better, the Swamp Thing.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, I thought that's what you said. Yeah, I guess I like this one more. I mean, it was closer for me. Again, really different issues, both of these, because yeah, one we're kind of reintroducing in the continuity, Cadmus and Guardian, and the Newsboys and everything else. And then this one is just a Swamp Thing story where basically it's more Superman than Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, if you didn't tell me this was an issue of Swamp Thing and said, oh, this is a Superman issue guest starring Swamp Thing, I would have bought it.
Yeah. It is interesting that this is the Swamp Thing proper, I guess you could say. And yeah, it's weird.
Because again, it's like how again we don't get like any really dialogue from Swamp Thing till like the end.
Yeah, it's weird. Not like I said, not gonna lie.
And I
But
don't know. I was just like, wait a minute. So Superman came to text Swamp Thing, trying to enter the building, but not. I mean, what's going on with Lex? But again, maybe is he just like that's none of my business?
right, like he's gonna harass one group and not the other.
Maybe at least fly by the window and be like, "Ma'am, are you all right?"
So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, but yeah, I mean that's it on those. Well, like I said, yeah, stay tuned for Guardian and Cadmus. That's all going to be here for a good going through all the Superman books for a while here. Years of stories.
Yeah.
I mean, up to the death, past death.
So yeah. Yeah. I find it I like what I'm liking the most is I like feeling like I'm part of the Metropolis and Superman's world, you know. And that's what I feel like we miss a lot in these stories. So
yeah, that's what I said. That's what I miss. Like all the Superman books. I mean, the Spider-Man books of this era. I mean, you get like the big supporting cast. They don't do that. A lot of modern comics don't do that anymore.
no, they don't.
And they don't because they don't give these writers like time to flesh stuff out because a lot of writers, you're lucky you get a year on a book.
Yeah, you're in a book and you come in with I want to do my story, you know, and you unless you're really getting like you're able to do 2 books, you know, where you're doing action and Superman where you're telling like that was one thing I will say that I kind of liked in Bendis's run was he tried to make action more of like the Clark Kent Daily Planet, and then Superman was just him as Superman kind of thing, and it wasn't as much about the life. I did like how he tried to do that. There was a style to his action comics, and I think that really helped with what we're talking about. But yeah, you unless you have a story that's inclusive to all the characters, you're in and out before you even know what's going on. But that's all I got for this week.
All right, but yeah, again, yeah, if you want some different Superman stories, yeah, this is the stuff for you. All right, but yes, next week, and again, you're gonna get 3 episodes this month. But next week, we're gonna cover Adventures of Superman 447 and 448, and Superman 25. So yeah, we're gonna get back to the gangbuster stuff. We're gonna get some Intergang. We're gonna get the return of Brainiac again. So
yes, good. Is it Brainiac? Is it Milton Fine? You know, we don't know. We don't know.
And then, like I said, the 3rd episode this month, we're going to start our the first of our 2-part Invasion special. Because we'll cover Invasion 1 and 2, and then Superman 26 and Adventures 449. Because then next month we'll wrap up Invasion and start Exile, which Justin will be back because when we do the 3-part Exile.
It's gonna be a good time. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, because that's again once we get to Invasion, that's going to reintroduce Mongol and War World. So Lots of good stuff. And a little device called the Eradicator.
Don't even get me started.
Well, yeah. We'll get into the convoluted. We're gonna be living in real time that convoluted history of the Eradicator.
Because I had a whole speech I gave yesterday about how I don't feel like the Eradicator, anyone really knows what the Eradicator is or what it really does. They're just like, what's Kryptonian that has a cool name? Eradicator. Okay, we'll use that.
It's a device, then it's a humanoid.
There's so many different variations. Like even on, Superman and Lois, they were like the Eradicator, the eradication process. I'm like, stop just throwing that word around. Like, it actually has meaning.
I'm gonna put some sunglasses on it. Don't even try.
Yeah.
All right. So we good?
Yep.
All right, kids. So so there's your homework for the rest of the month. Hold on, let me pull something up here. All right, kids. So, and again, send us your thoughts. Hold on, I have visual aid here. All right, kids. Email us CapesandLunatics@gmail.com or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And remember, you can find all things Capes and Lunatics episodes, social media, merchandise. Again, get your new Capes and Lunatics merch with all the new logos. The old stuff is still up there, and that's still selling. You can find... Oh, and again, we have a random Cash App link. So Lilith demands that you rain random money on us through the Cash App link.
Make it rain.
And yes, rain random money on us like we're dancing on a pole.
She looks like she was just working a stripper pole down at Divas.
And of course, the Patreon. Get something different every month. Me and Lilith try to give you something different. Bonus content, and very exclusive to the Patreon. So join the Patreon Elite with Justin and others. So find it all at tubespace.io/CapesandLunatics Podcast Network. It's tubespace.io/CapesandLunatics Podcast Network. And the Patreon link is right there on the screen. Patreon.com/CapesandLunatics.
More vicious and brutal than ever.
All right. Mr. Tyler Patrick, where can people find you talking more Superman on the Krypton Report?
That's right. The Krypton Report, wherever you get your podcasts, I will be there. Just look for me, Krypton Report. Seriously, all over social media. Just go find me there.
I'm tired of knowing everything.
It's a burden.
And we talk about this every time like it's an original thought, but should we do Justin's plugs?
Nah, just go listen to old episodes.
That's right.
He's got too many. He just needs to type them out and just give us a script to read off of when he's not here.
Yeah, how does? Oh yes, Justin. Wait. Oh wait, I do have a little infographic there for him too. So, wait till you see this. You're gonna love this. All right. And again, our sometimes host Justin. You can find him all over Capes and Lunatics and Capes and Lunatics Sidekicks, talking a lot of Marvel, talking Azrael with me over on We Are the Bat. Of course, you can also find him on Gamma Charge, the strongest podcast there is. Predator and Prey with that high priest of Conchu and Sausage, Ray, or now Ryan. And of course, his solo show, The Lost Library of Legends, where he talks about lesser known comic book series, a lot of them from the 90s.
Going back to the 90s here, bitch.
But yes, just follow the owl.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, all right. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Again, yes, come back next time. Adventures 447, 448, and Superman 25. Not necessarily in that order. 447, 25, then 448. Oh, and I believe another scene that's going to come back up for the next few months. We'll never believe who Superman saves.
Ooh. Just wait and find out, people. Wait and find out.
Right. Or should I say who Clark Kent saves? People then think they owe Clark a debt. All right, so yes, come back next time. Next week, join us for Truth, Justice, and the Mullet Way.